So, what armor should you be wearing in Sons of the Forest? Today we're going to look at how well each type of armor holds up and compare that protection to the cost of crafting to determine what is the best armor in Sons of the Forest. Now, we did run this test on both Cannibals and Mutants to try to make sure we were thorough. Having said that, let's jump right into the tests. We started off with leaf armor. This armor costs 10 leaves and 1 piece of cloth to craft, which is fairly easy to obtain in large quantities at all stages of the game. Now, given how easy it is to make this armor, it's not surprising that it offers next to no protection. As you can see, the Cannibal hits me pretty hard. He takes off between 3 and 4 pieces of armor per hit with just his bone. So wearing a full set of this armor nets you about 3 extra hits before you start taking damage to your health. While this is technically better than nothing, it is by far the worst armor on the list. Moving on to hide armor. This stuff is a definite improvement to the leaf armor that we tested earlier. However, it's considerably harder to craft. It requires 2 pieces of hide and 1 cloth to make 1 piece, which doesn't seem by itself like a lot of resources, but I had to go pretty far out of my way just to craft a full set of 10 pieces of this armor. One sort of interesting side note is it does offer some slight protection to the cold, so if you're trying to cut across the mountain or if it's snowing and raining, it will kind of help a little bit with that. Now, when you watch the Cannibal attack me, you should notice that he does between 1 to 2 pieces of armor of damage per hit. So you will get roughly 6 hits blocked before you start taking damage to your health. So while it's not absolutely amazing, this armor is twice as effective as the leaf armor. It is just infinitely harder to craft. You're officially a serial killer, or at least you will need to be in order to get this full set of armor. Bone armor requires 4 bones, 1 tape, and 1 rope to craft each piece. And guys, this is where the armor actually starts to get good in the game. As you can see from the video, this armor is a 1-for-1, meaning it blocks 1 hit for 1 piece of armor. You can take a full 10 hits with this set of armor on. So while it's not technically twice as good as hide armor, this is definitely a solid improvement, and in my view, an easier set of armor to craft. If we were picking the best armor purely on how disgusting it is, the creepy armor would win hands down. This armor is literally just hideous to look at, but it does provide some decent protection. The best part of this armor is actually that there are no crafting requirements whatsoever. All you need to do is kill a mutant and skin it to get a piece of the armor. And it does have substantial resistance to it. I did actually think this armor was better than it is. As you can see from the video below, it blocks between 11 to 12 hits in a full set, which isn't that much better than bone armor. However, the fact that there is next to no crafting requirement really pushes this up the list for me. So if you've ever wanted to cosplay as a Christmas tree, then this armor is for you. Wearing a full set of the tech armor actually causes all the little lights on it to light up. This doesn't really add anything to the armor, but it is sort of a cool effect to let you know you're wearing a full set. This armor, by far, has the highest cost to craft in the entire game, with some of the rarest ingredients that you can find. In order to make a full set of tech armor, you need 1 tech mesh, which requires 250 resin to make. You also need 1 tape, 1 battery, 1 wire, and 1 circuit board. With such a high crafting requirement, you would expect this armor to be good, and you would be right. This armor performs exceedingly well, blocking between 2 to 3 hits per piece of armor. I was actually able to take a full 25 hits while wearing this armor in the clip below. Now that we've had our ass beaten by cannibals, it's time to jump in the caves and see how well this armor does against mutants. Thankfully, the cave mutants are a little bit more consistent with the damage, so it gave us easier results and a better benchmark to tell which armor was better. So we started again with leaf armor, and this armor absorbed about 2 damage per hit, meaning we were able to get about 5 hits before we started taking damage on our health. Once again, while this isn't the best armor, it's better than nothing and will allow you to go into the caves and try to get some better armor. Moving on to hide armor, it actually does surprisingly well and bumps itself up to a 1-for-1 armor. You can take 10 hits before you start taking damage on your health. Once again, the crafting requirement is high, but as you can see in the clip below, it does provide some decent damage reduction. So the bone armor is actually where we start to see the damage reduction really crank up. As you can see below, we average between 1 to 2 hits per piece of armor, and I was able to take 17 full hits before the bone armor actually broke and we started to take damage to our health. So this ugly ass armor actually gave me mixed results. It was showing that I was taking roughly about 2 hits per armor piece. However, I was only able to take about 18-ish hits before the full set broke, which tells me that there is some sort of rounding that happens in the background. Because of that, this armor performs about as well as bone armor, but is easier to obtain while you're in the caves. Okay guys, this armor is absolutely insane against the mutants. I was able to get a whopping 4 hits per piece of armor while I was in the caves, which means I was able to take 40 full hits before my set of tech armor broke. While the cost to craft this is astronomical, it is by far the best defensive armor in the entire game. In an ideal world, tech armor would, unsurprisingly, be the best armor in the game. However, we don't play the game in a vacuum. Given how rare some of these resources are, combined with the limited amount of carrying space for those resources in your inventory, I would actually suggest that you do not rock a full set of tech armor until late in the game when you have an established base and you are able to hoard all of these rare resources. So where does that leave us? Well, I would actually say if you are going to be above ground dealing with cannibals, the best armor is actually the bone armor. It gives solid protection for the crafting cost and is very easy to replace in cannibal camps and in fighting above ground. If you're going to be spending a lot of time in the caves, I would suggest wearing cave mutant armor. It provides similar protection and is very easy to replace while you're in the caves, as you can just pick up a new piece after each individual kill. Hopefully this video helped. If you enjoyed the content, please subscribe to the channel for more videos in the future.